Ready? When they sit down. When those guys sit down.
Half a Day Islanders.
There you go. Yeah.
Today we have the Attorney General and his office, his staff, his team. Can we give them a warm welcome to JFK? We would like to thank you so much for being here and giving us this opportunity to listen to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jason. Let's give him a round of applause. Your way, President. All right, half a day and good morning, Islanders. We have half a day. All right, we have some grade levels here. Got sophomores, right? Where are the sophomores in the room? No sophomores? What grade level are you guys? Freshmen. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So you guys are just fresh, easing in that Islander lifestyle. Well, my name is Austin Fortuno. I'm a Special Projects Coordinator from the Office of the Attorney General of Guam. We have some good information that we hope to impart to you guys. You guys are high schoolers. You're about to become real adults. You guys are either probably working already or planning to go to work or planning to go to college. And being an adult comes with following rules, right? Who in here likes to follow rules? No one? Well, hopefully all of you guys, because if you are not following the rules, you're going to spend some time dealing with us, the attorneys from the Attorney General's office. Does anybody know what the Attorney General does? No? That's good. That's a good thing. That means you guys are keeping it on the right side of the law. We at the Attorney General's office, right, are the toughest law enforcers. We're in charge of enforcing our laws, prosecuting criminals, among other things. But I will save that discussion for the Attorney General himself. So we have some distinguished guests with us joining us here today. First off, we have, of course, the Attorney General of Guam, Douglas B. Moylan. Let's give him a round of applause. We also have joining us prosecutors from our General Crimes Division. We have Attorney Christopher Gray. And of course, we have Attorney Neil Bonavita, our Assistant Chief Prosecutor. Let's give him a round of applause. But we have one more special guest, last but not the least. We have our office mascot, Eric the Eagle. All right. You guys have a mascot? Well, you guys want to take pictures with him later. Very important. During our presentations, during the topics that we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be asking questions after each presentation. And Eric over here is going to give you gifts if you guys get the question right. So very important that you're listening, right, to the presentations. But before we begin, let's go ahead and welcome to the podium the Attorney General of Guam, Douglas Moylan, to deliver some welcoming remarks. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay, half a day, everybody. So, my name is Doug Moylan. I am your Attorney General. The Attorney General is an attorney, right? And his client are all of you guys, and your parents are the ones that voted the Attorney General into office. It's a 4-year term. It's the Chief Legal Officer of the Government of Guam. Does anybody know what the Government of Guam is? The Government of Guam is all of you. When they use these nice words like Government of Guam, the United States of America, it's an institution that is what you people make up. You're all United States citizens, you're here legally, and you have elected officials. That means that I'm your servant, right? I'm not just a public official, I'm an attorney who has a client. And because I'm the people's attorney, I'm your attorney. So what is the main job of the Attorney General is to protect all of you and make sure that you receive the benefit of what the senators pass in the legislative branch, right? And they pass laws that deal with your personal rights, criminal laws that protect your personal rights, and the Attorney General being part of the executive branch with my prosecutors, my staff, we're here to protect you and to have you benefit from our laws. So today is important for us because we want to make sure that you guys know your rights, that you know what violence is and how it's going to affect you. I think most of you are, what, 14 years old maybe? 14, 15, something in that area. Remember, there's dangers in the law that if you hurt somebody, if you violate their rights, you know, Department of Corrections, you see all that? You guys see the billboard that's up right now? That one? Every person on this, every picture there is a person that broke our laws and is a person that went before your parents sitting on a jury. And the jury, your parents, found them guilty of breaking our criminal laws. So what we do in the AG's office is separate those people that don't follow the rules, don't follow the law, from you guys so they're not hurting you. That's ultimately the Attorney General's importance in our government of Guam, is to prevent people from hurting one another, okay? And if it requires putting them behind bars, so be it. Okay, so the violence, who is a crime victim, and meth kills, okay? So those are the three topics today we're going to discuss, and I appreciate your being here. I thank your instructors. I thank Principal Asher D. Rosette and Vice Principal Kin Fernandez. Thank you all, Islanders.
All right. Thank you so much, Attorney General Moylan. All right, Islanders, let's get the gears rolling. We're going to go ahead and talk about our first topic, right? Who is a crime victim and what are your rights as a crime victim? And to talk about that, let's welcome to the podium AG Prosecutor Christopher Gray. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. So my topic, as Austin just said, is we're going to talk about victims today and your right as a victim. My boss said earlier, look at those billboard, those are the defendants. The other side of that are the people they hurt, and that is the community and the victims of those crimes. So I'm gonna ask a few questions. In a show of hands, raise your hand if you think a baby can be a victim. Okay? What about an older person? Let's say your grandparents. Can they be a victim? Raise your hand. Okay. What about businesses such as like Donkey, Kmart, the gas station? Can they be victims? Raise your hand. So all three of those things, or three of those, what I just said, they can be victims. Anyone can be a victim. Every single one of you can be a victim of a crime. A victim is somebody that is harmed either physically, so like an assault, like being punched, being attacked with a machete or a knife. They can be hurt emotionally, like child abuse. They can be hurt financially. So like anybody that steals from Kmart or Donkey, they're a victim. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of an exercise to make you realize the kind of crimes that are out there. So if I could have everyone stand up except for this first row. Just stand up for me. Everybody stand up except for this first row right here. Everybody else stand up. Stand up. It won't be long. Just stand up, stand up. Participate. Stand up. Okay. All right, that's good. Now, just to make everyone aware, as of last year, there was about 585 cases related to drugs. This is why my boss is going to talk to every single one of you about drugs and how it hurts our community. Look around. That's how many cases we had last year alone. Except for these people, that's how many drug cases we had. All right, now the first two rows, sit down. Everyone else just keep standing up. The first two rows, sit down. Okay? Last year, we had about 400 assault cases. That's about how many of that is standing up. Assault is like hurting somebody with your fists with a knife, a gun, a machete, things like that. All right, everyone else sit down except for the last 2 rows. As of January of this year, so 4 months, about to be 5 months, we have had 100 assault cases so far. Everyone else sit down except for the last section right here. This year, since January, we've had 50 bullying cases so far. 50. All right. Thank you for participating. Sit down. So, think of how much victims there are out there. Okay? So now, let me talk to you about what rights victims have. So there's 6 rights that victims are allowed. And as Austin said, if you want a prize, listen to this part, because there's 6 things that they might be asked of you. The first right that you get is you have the right to be informed. What that means is if you're a victim of a crime, you have the right to know when the bail hearing is, when the trial is, when the arraignment, the preliminary hearing. What all that means is that you have the right to know when the defendant is facing or sitting in a courtroom. You also have the right to be heard. Do you know that if you're a victim, you have the right to make a statement and go to the court and tell the judge why someone shouldn't be let out? Think how impactful that is. Right? You have the right to be present. You have the right to show up to all those hearings I just mentioned earlier. You have the right to be protected. So you have the right to file what they call a temporary restraining order. What that means, if somebody's harassing you or they're messing with your family, you can file a restraining order telling them that they can't be near you by a certain amount of feet, can't contact you, can't call you, can't text you, things like that. You have the right to what we call restitution, or what that actually means is you have the right to get your money back. And finally, you have the right to privacy. So if you're a victim of child abuse or some kind of sexual abuse, you have the right to remain anonymous so no one knows that happened to you. Now, does anyone raise your hand if you know what you're supposed to do if you ever become a victim of a crime? Shout it out. What should you do if you become a victim of a crime? Call 911. All right, that's wonderful. So let's start there. If you are in the middle and observing that crime, call 911. That's the first thing you should do. Call 911. Now, let's say stuff gets stolen out of your car and you don't find out about it a couple of days later. Second thing you should do is report that crime. Go to Guam Police Department and report that crime. One other thing you can do is something that our office provides, and it's this wonderful people over here. They're called the CVRU unit. C as in cat, V as in victim, R as in rabbit, U as in umbrella. What CVRU stands for is the Crime Victim Response Unit. Their job is to make sure that all the rights that I said earlier, the right to be informed, the right to be heard, the right to be present, the right for restitution, the right to privacy, the right to be heard. Their job is to make sure that you're aware of those things. I'm going to end my section by simply saying this. If you are ever a victim of a crime, if you ever find yourself on the other side of that billboard, you're not alone. Our office is here to help you, and the people of CVRU are here to help you. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you so much. Attorney Gray, right, talked about being a crime victim and what are your rights as a crime victim. Hopefully, right? God willing, no one in this room would ever had the opportunity to become a victim, but it happens, and our office is ready and equipped to help you guys. But hopefully, you guys were all paying attention to Attorney Gray. We're gonna ask some questions, and Eric the Eagle here is gonna give you some prizes if you get it right. We're gonna do this quick and easy. If you know the answer, raise your hand and I will run to where you are at and I will give you the microphone and you will get a prize if you get it right. So let's start off with something simple. Let's start on the right side here. All right, you guys. You guys are all freshmen? Freshmen? All right. Let's see who's the best. Well, you're all freshmen, so which teacher has the best class, I guess. So Attorney Gray talked about this, right? Talked about different examples. So my question is, who can be a crime victim? Oh, okay, all right. Wanna mosey on over here and I can help you, give you the answer? Who can be a crime victim? What was the answer? She said anybody. Is that correct? Yes, let's get a prize. All right, Eric. Anyone can be a crime victim. Can your mom's dad's uncle be a crime victim? Can Kmart be a crime victim? Can your school be a crime victim? Victim of double session, right? All right, that's the correct answer. Great job. Let's go over here on this side. Okay, so Attorney Gray talked about this. Crime victims have rights, and he named the 6 common rights of a crime victim. Can anyone tell me one of those rights? What were one of those rights that he talked about? Anybody? Or you want to take a shot at it over there? Okay. Name one of the rights that were mentioned by Attorney Gray. Crime victims' rights. Yes.
You have the right to be informed.
Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. You have the right to be informed. Eric, give him a prize there. Right, as Attorney Gray mentioned, right, you have the right to be heard. If you are a victim of a crime, our office is responsible for making sure that, one, we take into account your statements. The judge, you could go and tell the judge how you feel, and among other rights that were mentioned by Attorney Gray. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and transition to our next topic, still very relevant to you guys. We talked about being a victim. Now let's talk about school violence. You guys know what school violence is? You've seen it, you've been through it. They're gonna go ahead and welcome Attorney Neil Bonavita to talk about it. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning, JFK. I'm so happy to be here. I've been in this island for 3 months, and I've worked hard and working even harder for the Attorney General to prosecute the types of people that Mr. Gray and the Attorney General himself had mentioned. I'm here to talk to you today about school violence. I think everybody knows or thinks that they know what school violence is, but I'm curious. Can somebody here please give me an example of what they think is school violence? Yes. Bullying, that's an example of school violence. Can everybody agree that that's an example of school violence? Yes. Now, bullying, we'll go ahead and I'll move around and I'll follow the lead of what you guys tell me. What else is an example of school violence? Yes, ma'am. Discrimination of diversity, that's an interesting issue. It depends on whether that results in some type of physical harm or emotional harm. But yeah, that would fall under potentially the bullying that you just described. What else? You had your hand up too. Yes, you did. What's that? Cyberbullying. That's another example of violence. If it harms somebody and ultimately causes them harm, that's a great example. These are great examples. Anybody else? Fighting. Obviously, a great example of school violence. Because when you fight, you get hurt, right? Give me one or two more.
Verbal abuse. Verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse is another example of bullying or school violence. That's correct. I mean, but school violence is much broader than even the examples that you gave. So I'll start with some of them that we would have to deal with at the Attorney General's office, and then I want to talk to you guys about the other examples that you gave. First, you've read when people have come to certain campuses, like in Florida and other places, where school shooters, either students or adults, have come and harmed students on their campus and adults as well. Are you familiar with some of those things you may have read in the paper? Has anybody heard of those things? Raise your hand if you have not heard about school shootings back on the states, back in the stateside. You, sir, have you heard about it or not heard about it? Have you heard about it or not heard about it? Oh, you were just raising your hand. Everybody stretch and raise their hands anyway. Right. Violence occurs. Sometimes serious violence can occur. None of us want to see that occur. And by the way, for a period of time when I was working back in Texas before I came here, I was a school administrator. I taught students just like you, history and geography and government. And I worked with students just like you every single day as a teacher and as an administrator. And fortunately, at my campus, we never had such a shooting, but they can occur. So violence of the type that Mr. Gray described, whether it's an assault, someone brings a weapon to school, someone brings a knife to school, and either uses it or threatens to use it, can result in school violence. That's the most extreme example. Those examples could fall under what we call first or second degree felonies, the most serious crimes that we prosecute on this island. And those crimes will be prosecuted aggressively by our office. And you, if you are 16 years or older, will be prosecuted as an adult if you commit a first or second degree felony. So, first of all, don't commit a first or second degree felony. But what if you see somebody come to your campus and they have a knife? What do? What should you do? Report it. Call the police if you can. Report it to your administrator or an adult who will then make sure that it's reported to the campus as well. Because if you see it, we all know here what potentially could happen if someone brings a knife to school, right? Does anybody here want to see something like that happen? No. It's important. If you see something, say something. So important to take that type of action. Because we're responsible in part for our own personal safety, right? But somebody here mentioned bullying as well. Let's talk about bullying. What type of, they mentioned cyberbullying, they mentioned also physical bullying or emotional bullying. Nothing good comes from bullying. Can anybody think of anything good? Does anybody here think that it's a good idea or that they should watch somebody be bullied and not say something? You should say something, right? Because if someone's being hurt emotionally or physically, you need to find an adult, or if you can, you stand up for that person as well. Isn't that what we're all supposed to do? Oh, yeah, this guy. Now, Attorney General Moreland, can you remind me of what he was convicted of?
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this occurred about 2 years ago. And what our Assistant Chief Prosecutor is saying, this was an actual viral video. And the police found out about it, and guess how old the student was? 18 years old. He thought that he would be going to family court and DYA, and he got a rude awakening that the Guam Police Department took him to the Department of Corrections, convicted of assault against another student. So this is what we're talking about here. You're going to get yourselves on a billboard in addition to becoming famous on your cell phones. But who was the boy or girl that took that video that went viral? And I think that's what Mr. Bonavita is talking about. Don't just stand there and video stuff when you guys are seeing a fight go on. Help your friends, help your co-students, your islanders, so that your friends don't get beat up.
Thank you, General. One thing that I didn't hear, I think we all have the bullying idea down. If we're going to see something, we say something, we take care of our friends. It's what we do to take care of each other. It's our responsibility to ensure that people are taken care of. And what I see here is a bunch of activated people that I think will do just that. But let's talk a little bit about the difference between the criminal law and other areas. For instance, is dating violence another form of violence? It is. Do you know that it's also very prevalent in schools? And when I say dating violence, that's another form of bullying that's protected not only by the statutes here in Guam, but also by the federal government of the United States. Individuals who commit dating violence are subject to rules which can remove those individuals from school and separate those individuals. No one deserves to be treated with anything. Let me ask you this. Does everyone here believe that in a dating relationship, you should be treated with anything other than the utmost respect, whether you're the guy or the woman? Does anybody here think there's a reason that excuses anything less than physical and emotional respect from your partner in dating? Anybody? It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. When I was a campus administrator, I had examples, in particular examples, of a young man who was physically abused by his partner. He would show up with a black eye. He would make excuses. We eventually investigated to the point where we had to conduct what was called a Title IX investigation because he had a claim of dating violence. It's not gender specific. It can happen to anybody, and that includes emotional abuse. So your teachers are aware of the law with regard to these types of activities, but sometimes you have to bring that to their attention so that the administration can take appropriate action. You are entitled to those protections. And if you feel that you either know somebody or you believe somebody or it's you yourself are experiencing what doesn't feel right in whatever relationship you may have with the person you're dating, you need to say something. And if you have a friend that you think is getting treated poorly, you need to say something because you have those protections here. You have those protections. Now, I just want to open up the floor since I think I've covered the spectrum of the things I wanted to talk about. Does anybody have any questions regarding anything that I've said so far today? You're thinking hard. You're thinking really hard. Come on, give me one or two, please. I used to be a teacher. I like when students ask questions. Somebody asked me a question. No? Am I too scary? All right, guys. Well, I thank you for your time. And if you have a question. I knew she had a question. Wait, I want everybody to hear your question.
I'm curious though, how do you find out if two partners of opposite gender hurt each other? Let's say, for example, what if the woman hurts his male partner and she accuses him of hurting her instead? What would be the possibilities? Oh, thank you.
I think her question was, how do you process that if somebody is causing someone else? And I'm not here to get into a gender discussion. Everyone who has a relationship with someone has a right to be treated with dignity and respect. And so if you are, and there may be special mechanisms here that the administration could particularly address, but generally speaking, if you either know someone or are someone who is not being treated right, you have a right to be able to pursue or at least report the fact that you are either a victim or know a victim of dating violence. And the administrators on this campus will investigate. It's the law to do so, right? So it's the same. You go to a responsible adult, you go to a responsible administrator, they're here to be there to support you. And you take care of yourselves and others by making sure that if you see something or it's affecting you directly, and you say something.
All
Are
right.
there any other questions before I have
Attorney
to
Neal,
pass the
you're
time?
talking about see something, say something, right? Maybe could you just tap a little bit about who are the mandatory reporters in this school for them to know?
Oh, the mandatory reporters. That actually varies by jurisdiction. Now, the teacher is a mandatory reporter. Certainly, if the teacher sees something, your teacher must say something. An administrator is a mandatory reporter. And at least in Texas, and I'd have to verify this, I believe this to be true here in Guam as well, you have counselors in your campus, right? Counselors that either help you with schedules or sometimes address some issues that you might be having. If you have a counselor on your campus, what we would call in Texas a Chapter 21 individual, although that's not important, it's not applicable to Guam law. A counselor, provided that you're not providing information that you're sharing in confidence, if that information rises to the level of threat of your personal safety or any other individual's personal safety, they are also required, in Texas at least, to report. And I would be willing to bet that that's true here as well. And if you report to the counselor and the counselor says, I'm not the guy, but I'll make sure you get to the right guy, they'll do that too. All right, I think that's all I've got. Thank you so much for your attention and time. It was a pleasure to be here today, and I hope you have a great school year.
All right. Thank you so much, Attorney Neal Bonavita, right? Talking about school violence, mandatory reporting. Very important. We've gone to school before. I've gone to school, just like you guys. Okay. I've just gone to school, just like you guys, and we see school violence. It's very important that we take the extra step, right? When we see something, we do something about it. So I'm going to go ahead and ask my question. And hopefully everyone should know the answer to this, but we'll let a few students shine. Eric has his little gifts over there. All right, let's go. Oh, I haven't asked in this group. Let's go in this area over here. So let's say you are witnessing school violence. What are some examples of school violence again? Someone is doing what? Bullying, fighting, cyberbullying, sending, inappropriate photos about somebody. I want one student here to stand up and name one person in this room, an adult in this room that they trust and they can confide in and they can report it to. Oh, okay. You guys just came in. You sure you can answer it?
An adult or teacher I trust is Coach Eladio Manansala.
All right. Is he here? He's not here? Well, you trust him, right? Yes, and it's very important you can tell him. He got it right. Let's give him a round of applause. Yes, a coach, a teacher, your school administrator, a parent, a doctor, an officer, right? These are people who you could speak to, and they are mandated by law, right, to help you out in those situations. All right. Well, perhaps one of the more important things that kind of ties in with what we do at the Attorney General's office is consequences. Bad acts equals what? Good consequences or bad consequences? Bad consequences, right? And Attorney Bonavita talked about it. So I'm going to go ahead and ask someone in this area over here, what are some consequences for those who commit school violence? Anyone? You got your hand first, right? Okay, let me go ahead and just take a guess. What are some consequences of committing school violence?
DYA.
DUI is one of them, correct? Let's give him a round of applause. You could go to juvie, or you could end up at DOC, like this guy over here, right? Went on a billboard. I think this was a incident in one of the northern schools. I'm not going to name the school. But yes, legal consequences. Definitely the worst type of consequence out there. So you're better off, right, staying in school, doing what you're supposed to do in school, right? What do you do? What are you supposed to do at school? You're supposed to what? Starts with the letter L. Learn. If you're not learning, well then, kind of redirect your objectives there. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to our last topic of the day, the whole reason why we are here. Let's welcome to the podium Attorney General Douglas Moylan to talk about meth kills. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hey, guys. Okay, this is a very important topic for our island right now. It's about drug abuse, right? Does anybody know what type of drugs that we're talking about? What is drug abuse? Meth is one of them. What else do we have? Cocaine's one of them, marijuana. What about the drugs that your doctor gives you? Okay, so let's talk about the two types of drugs that we're talking about. The illegal type, where nobody can use the drug, and then the legal type that your doctor may give your mom, your dad, or maybe even give you. That's drug abuse when you take those drugs when the doctor does not prescribe it for you, or you take more than the doctor prescribes, right? Antidepressants, things that you go to a pharmacy and you can't buy, they call it over the counter. You guys are old enough now to understand some of the things I'm saying, okay? This part of the program, it's more important that you guys raise your hand if I talk about something and you don't understand it. These people that we're throwing in jail right now, that your parents are throwing in jail with the judges, a lot of them are meth addicts, okay? Meth addicts, methamphetamine. What happens to the seller of the drug, they call it dealers, when we're throwing all their customers in jail? What happens when you're selling something and all your customers are being taken away from you and you don't have that many customers anymore, but you got a lot of meth, a lot of product? What? Well, they're starting to use it, but what do you do when you're selling it and your sales go down? Exactly. This young lady over here, you find new customers. And who are their new customers, ladies and gentlemen? All of you guys. You guys are the new customers for the meth addicts that we're throwing in, the meth dealers for the meth addicts we're throwing in jail. They're looking for more people. These two banners out here, these three ones, look very carefully at them. They're designed for you guys, to help you guys not become a drug addict. Can you guys become a drug addict? Yes, you can. So let's look at this first one here. What's wrong with this picture? Girls and boys, I think you're at an age that you want to look good in school, right? You want to look good, you want to dress good, you want to buy things that everybody likes, that has you look at each other. The girls, you guys all want to be pretty. Are you pretty when you have no teeth? What is the word? What is the Chamorro word? Dofi. Is that funny? It is funny when somebody calls you Dofi. And you guys know you got no more baby teeth left. So when you lose your teeth, you lose it the rest of your life. And those implants that they like to talk about, that they put in your mouth to replace your tooth, they usually don't last. And they will not last if you're on drugs. What happens when you start taking drugs is your body starts to slowly shut down. You first start losing your teeth, then different parts of your body, your organs start to fail. Normal life expectancy on Guam, maybe 80 years old. You look at your grandparents, right? Your grandparents may last until 70 years old, 80 years old. You're lucky if you get into the 90s on Guam. When you take meth, you're taking years away from your life. I don't care if you stop when you're 30 years old. Once you start taking meth, start lowering your lifespan. What is the organ that is most affected by meth? Heart. Dr. Nine, who's the territorial pathologist, medical examiner, he cut a bunch of bodies open in 2023. 1 out of 17 bodies that he cut open had meth in it. That is a terrible statistic for the island, to have people dying young and 1 of the 17 had meth in the system. But what he said even more is that the hearts had heart disease already. Your heart is the most important organ in your body in addition to your brain. Without the heart, without the brain, obviously you don't live. Dementia, Alzheimer's. But that heart, when you take meth, what does it do? What is one of the things about meth addicts when you're living in your village? How do you know you got a meth addict next door? They don't sleep. That's exactly what meth does to you. It makes you awake, 48 hours awake. Do you know what the police find when they find these cars driving erratic on the road and they have to pull them over? What happens when the person gets out of the car and they're on meth? They're delusional and they start to dance in front of the police officer. They start to scratch their faces. They cannot concentrate because they're delusional, because their brain is being fried by meth. So guys, when you said that, when we're putting all these meth addicts in jail or they're dying, the dealers want to sell the product to you. And how are they going to do it? How are the meth dealers going to start you to become a meth addict? Are they going to come up to you and say, I've got meth, I want you to take it so you become one of my customers? No. What they're going to do, and these are the two forms that we find it in, powder and crystal. They're going to give it to you free. When they give it to you free, if you're not smart, you're going to take it. When you take it, depending upon your body chemistry, you can become addicted, and depending upon the quantity, within a week. That your body starts saying to you that you need it, you want it. It's like food, water. I need it, because your body is saying, I need it. Then what's going to happen after you start getting addicted? You think they're going to still give it to you free? You're now their customer, okay? That's the danger of what I'm seeing as your Attorney General. We're putting a lot of people in jail. The judges are putting them in jail. The judges are cracking down on it, but they're like vampires. Once you're addicted, you're addicted. And it can take you literally your entire life in and out of drugs. If you're lucky enough to live without overdosing, you're going to be in and out of drug court, in and out of our courts, hurting your children, hurting your parents, hurting everybody around you. Do you guys think Guam has a homeless problem? Do you guys think we have panhandlers on the street begging for money? Is that a problem? A lot of those people, the family, their brothers, their sisters, their friends, no longer want to be around them. Why? Because they're addicted to meth and they're not the same person anymore. They want to take what you have and they want to sell it so that they can buy more meth. That's why it's so important for each one of you to read and understand everything that we're showing on these things. Not only will you become dopey, not only will the guys, and especially the girls, nobody's going to want to date you because you're crazy. That's the reputation you're going to get. You're not going to finish school. When you don't finish school, what? No job. So how are you going to pay for things? That's what meth is your future. If you even try that drug, you're asking for a world of hurt. At some point, the people that loved you will no longer want to be around you because you become a danger to them, like a vampire, and you end up in a homeless encampment. When our office went to those homeless encampments in the 19 villages, guess what we found when we were looking at and taking photos of what's in the homeless encampments? We found meth paraphernalia. What's meth paraphernalia? Syringes, straws, different ways in which people administer meth into their systems. So when we say meth kills, and by the way, we have some nice giveaways up here. When we say meth kills, it's not that you're going to jail. Are you scared of going to jail? Guy on the top? Are you scared of going to jail? I'm scared of going to jail. It won't matter whether you're in jail or not, because you're going to be on somebody's slab at Guam Memorial Hospital, because they're going to dissect you because you're dead. Meth will kill you. It's just a matter of time and how much you take. Do you know what an overdose is? What is an overdose? You take too much of meth, right? Any drug that's usually on the pharmaceutical list or illicit, illegal, you take too much of it and you're going to overdose. Michael Jackson. Who's the guy on Friends that died recently? What's the character? Yeah, what's his real name? Do any of you guys know Matthew Perry? Any of you kind of, what is it, retro people that like watching the old Friends reruns? Remember Matthew Perry? He was very popular in the 90s, okay? You know what happened to Matthew Perry? You know how he died? He drowned in his sauna, his pool. You know what he was on? It wasn't meth, it was ketamine. It was a form of illegal drugs. And what happens to you, and it can happen to any of you, you take enough of meth, at one time, you take enough of that drug, you're going to fall asleep. He drowned in his own pool because he took too much of the drug. They call it an overdose, and then he just slipped under the water and drowned. The body goes to sleep when you overdose. And that's why if your loved one sees you, what do? What is the first thing the doctor does when they know a person's overdosing? They pump your stomach. They try to get everything out of your stomach because your body is starting to go through the system. It's going through the system. That's an overdose. But you take a little bit of each one of these things, these crystals here. If anybody gives you anything, obviously you guys are old enough to know, you got to report it, right? You got to report anyone in your classes that is a distributor. These type of things. And by the way, if any of you are 15, and I believe it goes as low as 14, and you did something like that, we can actually charge you as an adult if we request the family court to certify you as an adult. And I tell you right now, if I found out that there was a 15-year-old that was distributing packets like this, our office would seriously consider charging you as an adult. When you say charge as an adult, like Mr. Bonavita said, what that means is when you hit 18, you're not going to be let go. Juveniles are normally, once you hit 18, you get a fresh start. If you distribute and are charged as an adult, you could be in jail the rest of your life. Literally, 16-year-old, the next 30, 40 years in jail at Department of Corrections, getting raped by your roommate, your cellmate. That's the type of reality that you guys need to think higher, finish your education, get higher education so that you can have good families and make your parents proud. That's what the JFK is known to be one of the best schools on Guam. You guys are the ones that go to the Ivy League schools, Stanford, Notre Dame. The best schools in the United States come from JFK, and yes, I'll say it for my friend here, Okudu, and every other public high school and private high school on Guam. You have that capability. Do not fall into that trap of taking drugs illegally because it'll destroy everything. You will not have children and enjoy your children if you destroy your lives, okay? There's so many families in family court right now where their parents are meth addicted. And what happens to the kids of meth addicted parents? They get taken away from them. The feelings of abandonment, not having parents around, going through your high school years and your parents are in jail or in some meth clinic or at New Beginnings because they're meth addicts. That's the future of what and the destruction that meth does, okay? So, and also for those of you who may have friends or parents, you need to turn them in. You need to report them to other family members, to public health, child protective services. Because why? Why do you need to report meth addicts? Even if it's your parents. Why do you need to do that? Anybody? Overproducing? Right. That is one of the things, but what I'm looking to have you guys understand is that you need to report your loved ones, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your aunts, your parents, if they're on meth. To save their lives. If you love them, you report them so that you can save their lives, so that some professionals can come in and help them because they will end up dead. At some point in the process, they keep up the meth, and the meth dealers don't care. So, girls and boys, that is what that meth kills means. That is why we say, be smart, don't start. Go to high school, finish with a high school degree, go to college if you can make it. You've got a great University of Guam here. Get your degree and live your life as a happy, productive person with a good job. We're looking for people on Guam to work in the AG's office. UOG is graduating. We're hiring them. But don't fall in the trap that's meth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Attorney General Moylan, and thank you everybody for coming with us. Right, in consideration of time, I know it's about to be dismissal. I want to give everyone a chance to receive some of our free goodies. Who wants a keychain that says Meth Kills on it? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and conclude the presentations. Thank you, everybody. Please have some chance to come on forward. Thank you very much.